Hey everyone, this is Daniel from Astoria Mutual Aid Network, and I'm here with Eli Goldman of Tikkun Olam Bakery, where he is working right now to raise $50,000 for charity by Labor Day weekend. And he's using barbecue
Yeah,
and
bread.
just his knack for fundraising. So, Eli, thanks for joining us, man. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you settled in on Queens.
Um, cool. Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. My name's Eli. I am a full-time fundraiser for a nonprofit called City Year. And when I was doing something called AmeriCorps, which is like the Domestic Peace Corps, and I was living in California. And I finished up doing 4 years of it, and I really wanted to move to New York City. And the way I decided on Queens was that my cousin was living here in Astoria for like 10 years at that point, and he was like, I have a room. And I remember visiting him and how I liked the neighborhoody vibe, and I decided to move here. And I've been here since, and that was probably like April 2015 or so.
Cool. So, and like that neighborhood vibe of Astoria, I like how you hit on that because when I moved here like 15 years ago, and I've lived here ever since, I definitely love the small town kind of feel to it,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
how, especially in a lot of the businesses, they really get to know their customers
Oh, absolutely.
and how you get to know the businesses. How do you think that has affected the neighborhood as we're hopefully kind of coming near the end of COVID, although it looks like it could be coming back? But how do you think that neighborhood feel has influenced your work, but also just the way the community has interacted during COVID?
Um, I guess based off my experience, for example, like when I do the barbecue stuff on the weekend and like ask for a donation, then donate it. I'm getting that meat for the most part, either at Costco down the street, or more important, or like a small shop called Acropolis Meat Market on the corner of 30th Avenue and 31st Street. Like that butcher's been there since like at least the 70s. Like I go in there all the time, and like before it was like, oh, I'm having a barbecue. It's summer, like let's hang out. But now it's like, hey, I'm doing this like kind of serious charity thing during a time of pandemic. Like everyone has gloves on, so it's a little more it doesn't feel as like jovial, but at the same time, I think it's important that during such like a like troublesome time, you support local business. Like that's why like I make sure like if I can, like I would 100% go to Acropolis Meat Market, and like support your like local business during this time.
And okay, so let's talk about this barbecue. Give me the breakdown on it, on what exactly is does it entail, and what are you really hoping to achieve with it?
Um, so like last summer, I got a smoker, which was kind of crazy considering it's like rather big. It looks like a giant like R2D2 unit. It's the Weber Smoky Mountain like 18-inch diameter one. And so I'm like I got really lucky when I found an apartment by myself. I have a patio, so like it's stored out there. But I think it's most people when I tell them like I have a charcoal smoker and like live in the middle of New York City, they're like that's crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm from the South originally. I love barbecue, and it's just something that started off as a hobby. And then when the pandemic hit, I was sort of looking for a way to use my professional skill set of fundraising for a charity, and then my personal hobbies of like baking bread and also like smoking ribs a lot, to somehow like give back to the local community and also like the greater world in general. And the thing I decided on was that baking loaves of bread and then making like smoked brisket, ribs, and sausage and like pork belly on the weekends, and taking the proceeds and switching it up mostly every week to give to like different nonprofits, whether it's Astoria Mutual Aid or the ACLU or Safe Horizon or City Year, or I challenge myself, any like number of nonprofits.
So now I grew up in the South as well, and I do remember, especially on the weekends, barbecue was a big way of fundraising.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, for sure.
we would have what they would call pig pickings, but and I think that that's a really interesting thing that you've tapped into. Um, I was talking with Kim Colicchio of Connected Chef, who's also in Astoria, a couple
Okay.
weeks ago, and we talked about the importance of food and how
Yeah.
it can really bring people together. Have you seen that with the people that are supporting you and helping out, like this need to?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think so. Like basically, I post like a menu with like a suggested donation amount, and usually, not usually. It's not uncommon for people just to pay the suggested donation amount, but it's also not uncommon for people to like give like way more. So I think the fact that like there's a combination of like it's something delicious and like satisfying, which I think everyone needs right now. It's a stressful times. Plus, there's like a social impact. I think people have like responded like very well to it overall. But yeah, like you said, like food brings people together. I mean, I was raised by a Jewish mother, so like every holiday, huge spread for like Passover, huge spread for Rosh Hashanah. So the idea of like food as like comfort, but also as like social justice and like activism, I think is like nothing new to me at least whatsoever, and I think to many people it's good.
And is that where the name comes in?
Yeah, so originally my Instagram handle had like a pretty like silly name. And I needed something that I felt like kind of encapsulated like what my like personal project was, but also was like more professional. So like when I made it public, people would like come on to my page and not be like, what is this? So I decided on this concept in Judaism called Tikkun Olam, which means to repair the world, which like really speaks to me personally, but also like professionally. I mean, it's the reason pretty much why I do what I do. Where it basically means like Jews are supposed to take an active role in helping make the world a better place and like repair it for everyone, not just themselves, but like also your community. And like that feeds into like my vision of like what it means to be a member of the community, whether it's in Astoria, New York, Queens, or like the greater world.
And so I mean, you come from a pretty extensive background of fundraising for nonprofits.
Yeah.
And have you been able to tap into those expertise in this? I mean, this is very um, almost ad hoc. It's
Oh no, for sure.
but have you been able to tap into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for like one person baking bread uh, and barbecue like once a week, and usually only 2 weekends in a row, and then 1 weekend off. Raising $50,000 would be like really tough in the given amount of time from when I started on like March 24th to Labor Day weekend. But like knowing that like employers like match gifts and like figuring out like who in my network like has the ability to like get donations matched like 1-to-1 or 3-to-1 has been like really critical. So I think that you're seeing like a lot of people doing various types of fundraising right now, whether it's like Bakers Against Racism or like people in the bike racing community. I think my ability as a professional fundraiser to know not like the secrets of fundraising, but to know like, hey, if I like have a friend that works at this company and if I give them the money and they donate it, that can get matched 3-to-1. I think has like helped me get to the current amount of $40,000 right
And how is so you're wanting to raise 50,000 by Labor Day, and you do this every weekend, right?
Yeah, I
Or
usually do it like 2 weekends in a row and then 1 weekend off, just because like usually it's like 14 orders a weekend, and I've sold about like 78 pounds of barbecue so far. So it's like a lot of work. So like I try to like not do it every weekend because I feel I would go crazy. But yeah.
and so what are some of the big challenges then in doing something like this, small scale, but you've also got big goals? What are some of the big challenges that you faced?
I would say it's a lot of logistics. So before I just had like one fridge. Like when you have like 15 or 20 pounds of barbecue to sell, one fridge is like not really a lot of room. So I ended up like buying like a small freezer to like store like pre-cut portions of like half racks of ribs, whole racks of ribs, like pork belly, brisket, all that. So I didn't have to like run it, because what I was doing was running to Acropolis Meat Market like after the order deadline, which is usually Wednesday or Thursday. and buying all the meat at once. But like, it was just like getting to be like too crazy. So like figuring out like a systematic way of just like making things like less stressful. And then also to like, the reach, I would say, is that like I don't typically I don't have like a huge social media following. So like figuring like really it's relying on people, mostly my friends or like people that have purchased the barbecue, to like post a picture like on their Instagram story and say like, if you're interested, like please like order from me so and so, because like I mean it's a personal project, like there's no like marketing, like real serious marketing campaign or budget. So it's literally me and my Instagram and like asking people to like please share. Yeah, because ultimately at the end of the day, if like people are sharing, like yeah, sure, I get to like cook and like do something fun, but like it elicits like more donations. And then since like I know people in my network that can get it matched, like it's to me, I think it's a good strategy because it like doubles or triples your impact.
But you've speaking of which, you're reaching out to the reach out and getting people to know what's going on. You've got one coming up pretty soon, right?
Yeah, so actually this weekend, I am barbecuing on Friday because I have off from work all this week, which is awesome. So I will be barbecuing on Friday, and I'm making brisket, ribs, chicken, and pork belly, macaroni and cheese with jalapenos, sweet potato salad with herbs that I grow myself, and chocolate chip cookies and brownies.
Okay, well, we'll put the menu up when we post this.
Cool.
So definitely, hopefully, people will come out. I know I'm craving it, so I will definitely be coming out.
Awesome.
But so as obviously your life was kind of turned upside down with COVID,
Oh yeah, for sure.
just like everyone else. How has this experience or doing this? How has this helped you not only pass the time, but just um, get up in the morning, really?
Um, I think by giving me helping have like a strong sense of purpose. Like I definitely have a sense of purpose with like my job, right? But
Mhm.
like outside of that, like you can't go out to see your friends. Well, now you kind of can, but for the first 3 months you couldn't. You couldn't like go to a museum. You couldn't like do any of those like social engagement things. And I'm pretty like extroverted, so like I was it started off with like me like making like funny signs for my patio when I was like biking on my patio to like try and make people like passing by my patio. Like one of them's on What Is New York. It was to like make people laugh, and then I was like, wait, I can like make people laugh and I can use my bread to donate money to charity. So it was just like this continuously evolving project where it was basically, how do I use my free time to make people laugh, like feed people, like give back to my community and all this stuff. I'm not gonna pretend like I had some like strategy here. Like it was literally like very haphazard and like fly by the seam of my pants type thing, but it's worked out like pretty well so far. I like honestly wasn't expecting to raise more than like $1,000, and I figured like some people would laugh at my signs, but it's turned into this thing where I feel like people know my patio now, and then also like know my food, and then it's also like elicited like a lot in donations. So I'm pretty happy about it for sure.
And so if you wanted to start out at 1,000 and now you're looking at potentially 50,000 or more by Labor Day, where does that money go? Who are you helping out with this fundraising?
So basically, the donations first started going towards Safe Horizon, which is a nonprofit I used to work for. It was actually my first like job when I moved to New York in 2015. And the reason why I picked them, aside from like knowing firsthand like the amazing work they do, is that I don't. There's like various reports on it, but like domestic violence like being on the rise during the pandemic because like people are stuck at home, and like I remember like just like sitting on my couch and being like, wow, I feel pretty terrible. And like then I thought about like, oh my God, if I was stuck at home with like an abusive partner, like just the thought of it's horrifying. So I needed something to like alleviate the anxiety and then also like help people, I guess. And I'm not like imagining that like my bread and barbecue donations like solve anything, but I didn't want to feel like passive like while all this like terrible stuff is going on. And then with the case of when Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd happened, I think people's attention, and rightfully so, like got really focused in on like Black Lives Matter and the various like issues around that, whether it's police brutality or education equity or like healthcare outcomes, and how the pandemic is affecting communities of color way more than like people like you and I. Um, I opened up the donations saying that like the money, if you didn't specify, would go to Safe Horizon or it would go to any organization of your choice. And then I made the default not Safe Horizon anymore. I made it the ACLU. And now what I'm doing is like I switch it every week. So it'll be like ACLU 1 week, Astoria Mutual Aid 1 week, City Year another week, Safe Horizon another week. This really cool like sub part of Safe Horizon called Street Work, which works with like homeless and trans youth up in Harlem. It's awesome. Or again, like you designate too, because I want like it's sort of like a donors choose barbecue sale type thing where it's like you give me a donation for barbecue, and like if you're cool with it going to the nonprofit for that week, great. If not, like you tell me where you want this money to go. So like I've given to anything from like the Loveland Foundation to the Minnesota Bail Fund, the Black Lives Matter Network, and a really cool nonprofit called I Challenge Myself Too, which is based in New York and gets like youth, primarily youth of color, into cycling.
Awesome. So I really like that idea of allowing the person giving to be able to say where they want it to go, and if not, then you have one chosen for them. And just a couple more minutes, but just if somebody would want to help out, what are some ways that maybe they could help you, or you've been so connected to so many great, amazing organizations throughout New York City. And I think, like a lot of people struggle with, well, what do I do? How do I help? Like you came up with this great idea, but what would you say to somebody that wants to trying to figure out how they can help during this time?
If they're thinking about like what they themselves can do, it's like I think people just have to think about like what am I good at and how can I use this to either motivate myself and others to like make an impact. I mean, like I've seen people do anything from like fixing bikes outside on the sidewalk to like painting like little portraits to like sewing masks. I mean, like honestly, like can everyone barbecue? Like no, because not everyone is either good at it or like not everyone like has a charcoal smoker in a small New York City apartment. But like everyone like has something that they're good at. And I believe like it's just a matter of like figuring out how do you take your skill set and like apply it to making it an impact, and also like having like a realistic goal too. I think like a lot of people get caught up in like that idea of like changing the world, but like I think changing the world like really starts by like changing your day to day and like really small actions. And in terms of like if getting involved in my project, like I mean, I do anything from like taking just street donations to like people giving me donations in exchange for bread and barbecue. It's really that simple.
Okay.
Like I think like sometimes people think like, oh no, like it has to be like something substantial. Like I've gotten donations as small as like $10. Yeah. But I have like a massive spreadsheet that tracks everything. So
That's I think it's really important to always remember you give what is in your capacity,
for
and
sure.
is in your capacity. And I think if you have a lot of everyone doing that in the way that they can, then that becomes something a lot larger.
Definitely.
You're absolutely right that it doesn't have to be this huge, momentous,
No, it doesn't. I mean, like you look at multiple political campaigns nowadays, like a lot of those campaigns, especially the more like left wing ones, like they are small donations. But I think like increasingly like that adds up. Yeah.
Awesome. And so for you're going to be cooking this Friday.
Yeah.
Are you serving on Saturday or?
So the way it works is that I usually post the menu on my Instagram Sunday or Monday, and then the order deadline is like Wednesday at like 3 p.m. But like honestly, it's like later. And then The cook day is usually usually Saturday or Sunday, but this week it's Friday because I'm going away for the holiday. And then you can either pick up that day. So like if I'm cooking Friday, you pick it up by like 1 p.m. or 5, whatever works for you. And then the next day, I can deliver via bike. I'm like a huge biker. So like I've been riding around the city, like dropping off bread to people in like the Upper West Side and like Brooklyn and everywhere.
Okay, so they would need to put in the order by tomorrow then.
Yeah, preferably if they could.
Okay, okay. Well, we'll post that when we post this interview, and along with the menu. And where can they find you?
So I am right by Suvaki King, which I actually like. We talk about like having a barbecue off sometime. It's at the corner of 31st and 31st. Yeah.
And where can they find you on Instagram?
Oh, at Tikkun Bakery.
Okay, so that's Tikkun Bakery.
Bakery.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Eli, thanks, man, for joining me and for chatting. I think what you're doing is really great.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to put my order in because I love barbecue and wanna help contribute as well. And I'm sure a lot of people, once they find out, hopefully you'll get more and not overwhelm you. And if you do need help, then definitely reach out, because I'm sure the people at Astoria Mutual Aid would like to help out as well.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Eli. I guess I'll see you this weekend then when I come get you.
Have a good one. Bye.
Okay.